Welcome into the MLB Hot Stove Daily here at the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate you guys joining us late on a Saturday evening. Lots of great things happening around baseball right now. A lot of other scary things as well as injuries continue to mount across Major League Baseball. I just want to see these teams finally get to opening day without another significant injury. We already knew Stanton was going to be out for about a month to begin the season for the New York Yankees. Now he might be lost for the entire season after severe injuries to both elbows were discovered after additional testing was done. Now, he's going to continue to get more tests to see how long he's going to actually be out, what options are going to be needed to be taken in order to solve the issues that he does have going on with both elbows, and he very well could be out the entirety of the 2025 season. Welcome in Holly, Ryan, Heel, Verlis. Welcome in. Appreciate all you guys joining us. I know number one thing on everybody's mind right now is not necessarily what's going on with Giancarlo Stanton, but what's going on with Gerrit Cole in their starting staff. They already lost Luis Gil, probably going to be out for about a month to begin the year. Okay, you can weather the storm. You have Marcus Stroman to fall back on. You don't have somebody of the caliber of Gerrit Cole. That's for darn sure. And so if you miss him for any length of time to begin the year, you might be sitting behind the 8 ball through the entirety of the season and might miss out on winning the entire division. Now, if he has to miss significantly more time, possibly needing a Tommy John, which isn't out of the realm of possibility right now, sounds like there is at least some scary news going on with Gerrit Cole that he still thinks might be optimistic right now because it's not completely certain yet, but we don't know any of those results. That's kind of why we're in the dark right now with Gerrit Cole. Could be anything from a few weeks, could be anything to a couple months, could be the entire season. And we're already down another great starting pitcher in their staff. I mean, I get it. Rookie of the Year, great pitcher last year. Even though he was coming into his second season, had really solidified that rotation, looked like the future of this rotation. And now you're telling me they could be without Gerrit Cole? A very scary place the Yankees fans might be heading down. And, they didn't make the addition of another impact bat, which is a story for another day. The issue right now is, can they get healthy enough this season to really continue to be the force that I expected them to be coming into the season? But to answer your question there, do I think Cole will need surgery? Honestly, I'm really hoping not. I want to see these teams at their best. I don't want to see injuries in Major League Baseball. Mark put a great message on one of our videos earlier today when we were discussing Garrett Cole's injury and basically said, no matter what the player is, how good or bad he is to their team, we never want to see injuries in Major League Baseball. Even if you hate the Yankees or if you hate the Astros, you never want to see their players get injured and that be the reason why you beat them. You want to beat them at their best because you're the better team. That's when baseball is at its best. You might not cheer for them and root for them, but you're not actively rooting for their injury. And I really hope for the best for the health of these guys, first and foremost. But as a fan of the sport, yes, I want to see these guys healthy on the field. I want to see great play on the field. There's a whole bunch of teams across Major League Baseball, and my Rangers, you guys know they're my favorite team, aren't on every single night. I want to see other great players do great things. I want to see Garrett Cole be an ace-level pitcher, Cy Young caliber pitcher for the Yankees this year. I want to see just how good they can be without Juan Soto. Instead, we're going to have to do without Giancarlo Stanton for at least a month, most likely the entirety of the season. They were already down a significant bat that I thought they needed to add already. Now you're without Stanton. Now you're going without Luis Gil for a month, and then you're adding Garrett Cole on top of this. This is way too many injuries early in the season, and this could derail the season for the New York Yankees before it even begins. Now, sure, you guys might make the argument, well, they, of course, could make a trade for Dylan Cease. Cease isn't of the caliber of Garrett Cole. Cease is still a very good pitcher. To me, he's a really good, lower-level ace, in my opinion. Garrett Cole is at the top of that heap, and they will certainly feel his departure in that rotation, no matter how long he will not be available. Heel, do you mind if I advertise cards that I want to sell in here? If not, I won't ask again. I don't really want to do it as a vessel for selling. I do a little bit of card selling as well. I don't want to turn this into that, if that makes sense. But I just don't want to turn it into like an advertising thing. I'll put it that way. Verlis, welcome in. Heel, Yankees might want to make a trade just to have a fallback option. That's kind of my thought process there as well. If they want to salvage the season, maybe they go after a Dylan Cease. Maybe they go after another starting pitcher or Jordan Montgomery, somebody who they're familiar with that might be able to at least take some starts throughout the entirety of the season. But by no means are they going to be able to get somebody of the caliber of Garrett Cole that's going to be able to fill that hole and be able to keep them in the top of the hunt for the American League Championship Series or at the top of the division for that AL East. I think the Red Sox and Orioles are likely going to run away with this division if Garrett Cole has to miss significant time this year. I think that's almost assured at this point. Couple other news and notes anyway from around Major League Baseball. Jacob Degrom is back and healthy. He was absolutely dominant. And when I say dominant, I mean he looked like Jacob Degrom. I mean, this is the stuff we're talking about, my guy. This is the stuff we're looking at going, hey, when he's right and he's pitching, he is still the very best in the game, bar none. The question is, how many innings can you really get out of him at that level? Today he looked so good, but you could tell he was wearing down at the end of his performance, but he was still able to get 3 strikeouts, didn't give up a hit, I believe, was still very good. He was expected to go only 1 inning. He worked so quickly in that 1 inning, they gave him a second one. But you could tell he was kind of wearing down at the end. Now, they're going to build him up as they go through spring training. He'll be the Rangers' 5th starter, meaning they'll start him last of their starting pitchers as a way to mitigate his innings throughout the year. How many innings will he be able to give the Rangers during the regular season is one question. And will he be healthy enough and still be able to have enough bullets left in that arm once they get to October? That's another one. I have no doubt Jacob Degrom, when healthy, is still the very best at the very peak of this sport when he's healthy. And he demonstrated that today. He looked filthy today. Now, Wyatt Langford also debuted for the Texas Rangers in spring training today. Knew that was coming eventually. You just want to make sure he's healthy in the swing of things, that he's all stretched out and ready to go by the time opening day rolls around. You're not really worried about him getting a set number of swings in spring training. You just want to make sure his bat looks good, he's confident in his process, his swing looks confident, and then you're ready to go into the regular season. Same thing with Adolis Garcia, who had a very similar injury. We'll see when he gets back in there. But the Rangers are looking good so far. Let's see here. Welcome in, Rafe. Appreciate you joining us. Yankees missed out on Burns. They had a chance for him. They did. Rafe, I'm not going to get excited about DeGrom because at the end of the day, it's still DeGrom. Well, I mean, it's still DeGrom. I'll put it this way. When he's right, he looks absolutely fantastic. If you want to watch, starting pitcher, be at the very pinnacle of his abilities, that's still Jacob Degrom. He demonstrated that today. Let's see here. Degrom always comes back top tier. Question is, how long will it last? My thought process there as well, Ryan. I'm just going to enjoy it while it lasts. I'm not trying to jinx it. I'm just going to sit back and just enjoy the dominance. I just want to see him go out there and do his thing. I want to see him go out there and just enjoy being a major league starting pitcher again, being healthy coming into a season. When he entered the offseason, he was healthy, normal going through the offseason, had a normal regimen of the offseason, didn't have to do any rehab or anything like that for the first time in a while, which is a great thing for Jacob Degrom. Like I said, I'm always rooting for players' health in this league. I don't want to see other players, even on my rival teams, go down due to injury. I want to beat them at their very best. If you're an Astros fan, you guys should be cheering for the exact same thing. We want these guys to be healthy. And if I was an Astros fan, I would want Degrom to be healthy, and I would want to beat him at the peak of his powers. If I'm a Red Sox fan, same thing for Garrett Cole. If I'm a Yankees fan, I'm cheering for the health of Bayo right now for their starting pitchers. And Giolito. I want to beat the Red Sox at their very best, because Yankees-Red Sox rivalry isn't about who is a war of attrition, who managed to stay out of the infirmary the most. It's about who's the best on the field, who's the best that can prove it and win those games. That's what it's all about. It's not about a rush to the therapy room. It's not about a rush to see who gets to the injured list least or anything like that. I want to see these players at their very best, and I really hope the trend continues at least for Jacob Degrom. I'm still curious to see how Molly adjusts as he continues to build up during spring training. A lot of smaller injuries continue to pop up today, but overall, no massive injuries like we saw yesterday with George Kirby going down as well for the Seattle Mariners. He'll be out at least a few weeks to begin the year there. We will have to adjust our rankings here in just a moment. We'll show you those in just a moment. But if you guys wouldn't mind, hit that like button on the bottom of this video. That thumbs up really does help us out. I know you guys spam the hearts. I love those as well. Interact with the channel as much as you can. But if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button as well, really does help out our channel. Want to thank you guys for doing so as well. Gained a few subscribers over the last couple of days. Made a few videos for you guys talking about the Garrett Cole injury and the trade for Mikko Rantanen for the Dallas Stars Day. That game is officially underway. Excited to watch that one after we finish up here. But interesting time to be a sports fan right now. I mean, baseball's almost back. We got basketball going on, trade deadline, the craziest trade in NBA history. Luka goes to the Lakers and immediately makes them into a title contender with no defense. All of a sudden, they have the best defense in the league. What's going on in the NBA? As far as the NHL, one of the most impressive deadlines as far as the names being traded around. And then as far as the NFL, craziness out there. We're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders becoming the Seattle Raiders. They just brought in Geno Smith for a third-round pick. There's talk of Aaron Rodgers going to Seattle or to the Giants. Shedeur Sanders, a surefire top 2 pick in the NFL draft, had multiple bad interviews through the combine process, and then today he finally gets a positive review. Just a crazy time to be a sports fan right now, and that's just the tip of the iceberg that we're going to get into all those issues and more here at the Upside. So we are going to have a new show coming out for you guys next weekend, so be prepared for that one. We will have the new name and logo and animation and everything set up for that one. So be sure to join us. I think we're going to do our debut episode on Sunday next week, so be sure to join us for that one. It'll be a talk show, basically like you see all kinds of other talk shows, but we're not just going to talk about baseball. We're going to talk about the NBA, NFL, a little bit of hockey, and of course Major League Baseball. But we want to be able to cover all different topics. We want to discuss, what's going on the big stories in the sport and keep you guys up to date on everything that we possibly can. But I appreciate you guys joining us. We will continue to do our MLB Hot Stove Daily every single evening, so be sure to continue to join us every single night. We might change the format in which we do this. We might amend the time frame in which we do it, try to condense some of the information on some of the slower nights around Major League Baseball. We'll have a weekly power ranking show as well. Haven't decided which day we will do that on. This is the first episode of this one, so this will be kind of the inaugural episode. That's why I titled the episode MLB Power Rankings 2025 Volume 1. Next week will come Volume 2. I'm not sure what day we want to settle on yet. I'm deciding on somewhere between Monday and Wednesday. I'm leaning towards Wednesday, but we'll see. Still got to watch. Still got to watch the Mavs, even though we're going to lose 9 out of 10. I'm hoping the Mavs lose every single game. Somehow get lucky, like the Pelicans did when they got Anthony Davis in the lottery. Remember when they when they got Zion Williamson in the lottery? Remember when Anthony Davis demanded a trade to LA? Guess who got the lottery pick to get Zion Williamson? That's right, the New Orleans Pelicans. Mavericks could not have had a worse month in professional sports history, and I think the NBA might do the frozen envelope, or the weighted ping pong balls, or whatever the case may be, to get him that way. I'm not hoping it goes that way, though. I still want it to be legitimate if we get it that way. I'll put it that way. But I think we're going to see some interesting things coming in the next couple of months for the Dallas Mavericks. Some crazy things that you guys might not necessarily be inclined to believe, thinking conspiracies in the NBA are real, all those kinds of things. But lots of craziness I'm expecting in the next few months there as well. Rafe, as far as I've heard, Giants, Vikings, or retirement for Rodgers. After the trade for Geno Smith is when the rumors have really kicked up for the Seahawks for Aaron Rodgers, but I have heard the Vikings once or twice as well. Retirement, of course, I think is the best option for him. I think he is absolutely washed at this point. I'm just hoping the Vikings don't screw up J.J. McCarthy. I know he had the injury last year, but I want to see him get a real chance to be the quarterback of that team this year and not have to sit behind Aaron Rodgers for another season at the helm of that team. Heel 2025, been a crazy year. Imagine a year where John Cena turned heel. No kidding, my friend. I saw a crazy video anyway about Bray Wyatt, or The Fiend anyway, when he was kind of talking about John Cena back when they had the COVID protocols on, basically saying John Cena was eventually going to be all out for himself, and how he's not all about hustle, loyalty, and respect. He's all about hustle, loyalty, and respect for himself. That was pretty cool, kind of the way they tied it into the storyline today. That was pretty cool, the video I saw anyway, but crazy things happening there as well. And then if you guys saw Randy Orton's promo, Cena basically made Cena to be out to be The Rock's bottom. Whole new definition to that, if you will. But don't want to get into all that craziness too much. But a lot of crazy things in 2025. It's been an absurd year so far. I mean, I don't even want to touch on the political stuff, but you guys already know about all that stuff. Been a crazy year. And want to get back to something a little bit more normal, get back to traditional, hey, who's the best team in Major League Baseball right now? And so let's get into that. The 2025 inaugural episode of the MLB Power Rankings begins now. And welcome into the inaugural episode of MLB Power Rankings here at the Upside Sports Network. My name is Michael. Appreciate you guys joining us. For those of you who are watching after this live is with us anyway, but we'll be reposting this video after we're done with our live. For those of you who might not be able to watch while we are live this evening on Saturday, it is March 8th anyway, so we are just before opening day anyway. We'll be doing weekly power rankings for you guys, so be sure to hit that like and subscribe. Really does help us out, so make sure you hit that like. Not necessarily the heart in the chat, but make sure you hit that like on the video. Really does help us out, please, and thank you. Now, as far as the power rankings go, we've already done kind of the spring training rankings as far as how teams' lineups stack up, how their rotation and bullpen stack up. In fact, let's go ahead and kind of refresh our memory where those sit. So let me go ahead and pull it up for you guys. This was our rankings as they stood when we made them at that time. Dodgers were at the top. Mariners are the one team we might have to bump down in the rotation because of the injury to George Kirby. We'll get into that one here shortly. The Yankees we're going to have to bump down as well because of the injury to Luis Gil and now to Garrett Cole. They're obviously going to fall quite precipitously in this one, especially if Garrett Cole is out for the season, if that's still a possibility at the moment. But if it does become reality, the Yankees certainly tumble down this ranking quite a bit. I would say they're probably going to fall all the way down till past the Red Sox, maybe even further than that. But the bullpen was the episode that we did yesterday. Dodgers, of course, at the top to me. They really have basically 3 elite closers, kind of the way the Yankees built up a super bullpen back in the 2015 range. Zach Britton, Aroldis Chapman, David Robertson, Andrew Miller, Dellin Betances. That was an elite, all-time great bullpen. All of those guys could have been a closer on any other team, and the Dodgers basically are going back with that same formula once again. And, oh, by the way, they added all kinds of starting pitching. And, by the way, they have the best lineup in the game still. And this looks to be a formidable team this year. Now, of course, it's the 162-game season is going to be grueling. There will be injuries. Teams will fluctuate up and down in the power rankings as we go through the year. But as we get towards the end of the year, I think the cream will really rise to the top. We'll see the Dodgers still be there. I think we'll see teams like the Orioles still be there at the top of their division. I think the Red Sox have really improved. I think the Yankees, depending on their injury situation, I thought were going to be the winners in the AL East. They may still be in contention for a wild card because I still think they've got a good team overall. But a lot of great teams out there in Major League Baseball. And the way we did these rankings, I wanted you guys to think about them differently. Instead of just tossing out a number, oh yeah, they've got a top 5 lineup. Oh yeah, they've got a top 5 player in the game. Oh yeah, they've got a top 5 defense, a top 5 bullpen. I don't want to hear that. I wanted to sit here and go through each team and give them their due. Where do they actually stack up? And sure, you may look at the Atlanta Braves and say, look, they've got Matt Olson locked up. They've got Acuna locked up. Albies locked up. Riley locked up. Harris locked up. This is a really solid lineup. And oh, by the way, they added Jurickson Profar. They still have Sean Murphy with the injury issues, of course, right now. But they got a prospect in Drake Baldwin that they can turn to. This is a pretty good lineup overall. Sure, it is. But is it in the top 5? I don't want to hear it. The Atlanta Braves, to me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there at 5. We know where they rank because that's where we actually did the homework and looked it up. Sitting there looking at the Yankees, hey, they lost Juan Soto, but they still did a pretty good job. They brought in Goldschmidt, they brought in Bellinger, but now they're without Stanton going into the year. Are they really a top 5 offense without Juan Soto? No, obviously not. They're ranked further down there. But I wanted to kind of go through it team by team and see where these teams ultimately stacked up. Now, we'll adjust these rankings here probably in another show as we get closer to opening day is when we'll kind of readjust those. But going in, we kind of know the rankings right now, but we also have to keep in mind those injuries that are coming in. I want to start at the bottom of the list here as we go through our rankings. Who's the worst team entering 2025? Scroll down a little further here. The worst team as far as the lineup was the White Sox. Worst team for the starting rotation, the White Sox. And the worst team in the bullpen was the White Sox. Can you guess which team we're going to put dead last here? Any guess? It is the White Sox. They come in dead last in this ranking. There we go. All right. Next. Who is the second worst team in Major League Baseball entering the season? Well, lineup says it was the Marlins. Rockies for the rotation and Rockies for the bullpen. Rockies don't have much of a lineup here. This is fairly easy for me. Marlins have a little bit better rotation, obviously. They're a lot higher in the rankings here. This is pretty solidly the Rockies, the second worst team in Major League Baseball right now. '28. Marlins, A's, Tigers, all in the bottom here that we haven't done so far. Who else is low in these rankings? Mariners, of course, for their offense. Angels for their starting rotation. Rays for their bullpen. Pirates for their lineup. Tigers for their lineup. Cubs for their rotation. Nationals for their rotation. Nationals for their bullpen. I'm leaning closer towards the Nationals here. Marlins are in this category as well because they have one of the worst lineups in baseball, one of the worst bullpens. As far as the rotation, though, they were pretty high up here. Marlins were what? Right outside the top 10, essentially, for our rotation. So going into the season, though, I just don't think they're going to win very many games because of that lineup. So we're going to go ahead and put the Marlins here at 28. 27. Nationals to me are in this discussion. Angels got to be in this discussion. They're a pretty horrible team. Bottom 10 lineup, bottom 5 rotation, bottom 10 bullpen. They got to be in there. Tigers have a really great rotation. They're lifting up that lineup, but they got a lot of young talent in there that may come through. They don't have much of a bullpen, but I think they could trade for it. But entering the season, I can't account for whoever they're going to trade for. My guess is the Astros, no bias, of course. Let's see here. Larry, welcome in. The Yankees need to stop being cheap and get a third baseman, another starting pitcher, and maybe a DH if Big G doesn't come back. Larry, I'm going to invite you to reread your message there. How many different things did you say they needed? Stop being cheap. Get a third baseman. That's 1. 2, another starting pitcher. Are you saying get another starting pitcher of the quality of, say, Marcus Stroman? Or are you saying get another starting pitcher of the quality of Garrett Cole if he has to miss the entirety of the season, which isn't out of the realm of possibility? That's 2. Bring in a DH if Giancarlo Stanton doesn't come back. And oh, by the way, they're right up against the Cohen tax, which they say they do not want to go over. In fact, they may offload a little bit of salary as they go through the season, or get somebody to eat some salary so they can make sure they are underneath that threshold. That's 3 positions you're asking them to acquire while they're trying to maintain the objective of staying beneath that tax level. I'm going to say they're not going to add significant pieces like that. I feel pretty comfortable in that. If they still had Garrett Cole at the trade deadline and still they're looking very competitive, maybe they could revisit the idea of doing something along those lines, maybe getting another team to pay down the entirety of the contract that they do bring in. I think an impact bat is more likely. I think some starting pitching depth for them would have been nice already. But they still have Stroman. That was one guy that they were fortuitous enough not to trade away, even though I thought the savings there would really have been better for them to try to offload that salary and then try to bring in another starting pitcher at a low-cost salary. For instance, the Tigers just brought in Jose Urquidy on a 1-year, $1 million deal. But for the 27th spot here in the power rankings, I'm leaning a little bit here towards the Angels. They're a pretty rough team. Nationals are in that discussion. A's have a pretty solid lineup. Bottom 3 rotation, pretty solidly in my opinion, but they've improved. I think I'm going to go ahead and put the Angels here in 27. And I don't want to hear all the Angels fans out there saying, oh, you're just so hard on the Angels. I mean, this is a team that could make the postseason with a prime Mike Trout healthy and a prime Shohei Ohtani healthy. You're saying a team that's led by Kikuchi is going to get somewhere close to wild card contention? Let me have a little bit of what you're having. I'll put it that way. But they are not a good team this year. I think they're going to be a team that trades away as many assets as they can at the trade deadline. I think the Nationals here would be my next team. I'm pretty solid on that one. I think their lineup is getting better, but I think next year is the time that they're really going to invest in this team. I think this Nationals team, though, is pretty solidly in the bottom 5 right now in Major League Baseball. 25. Where do we put number 25? Rays are in this discussion for their lineup and for that bullpen. Tigers, I think that rotation is going to elevate them enough to stay out of this spot for now. So the Rays are one team. Pirates just don't have enough hitting, honestly. That rotation is pretty solid. Bullpen's a little shaky. Do I go Pirates? Do I go Rays? The one thing you'll notice is that the Blue Jays actually ranked kind of high in all 3 categories, even though I have them finishing dead last in the American League East. They do have a solid-ish lineup. They do have a solid-ish rotation. They do have a solid-ish bullpen. Nothing to write home about, but they're in solid shape. But when you look in their division, the Yankees, when they still had Garrett Cole at the top, Red Sox get Garrett Crochet. The Orioles look like they've got a really solid rotation, even though they need a number one. The Rays are the one team that I think they could really take advantage of out of that group. But I think the Rays are still going to be very competitive with their platoons. The sum of their parts is always greater than the actual parts themselves. But I'm thinking the Rays is pretty close. Caminero, I think, is going to have a coming out party this year, but I don't think it's going to be enough to be able to salvage their season. So to at least begin the season, I think I'm going to put the Rays in number 25. All right, now, as far as this lineup goes for the A's, I just think it's good enough that the extensions that they got done, it's good enough to keep them out of the floor, but I don't think I can put them much higher here. That rotation, while it's decent 1 through 3, there's nothing there 4 and 5. And if they have injuries or that bullpen needs to get into it, they only have Mason Miller and Jose Leclerc that I trust in that bullpen. I can't see them any higher than 24 this early in the season. Now, unless they get some big performances out of guys that I'm not expecting, maybe they'll elevate as we go through the season. But I just don't see it as of right now. All right. Let's keep it going. We've already done the Angels. We can cross them off. Nationals we've already done. Pirates are a team that, with that rotation, is still a pretty solid team. This Pirate squad, with that staff, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right now I have the Pirates 9th. With the Mariners and Yankees rotations dropping down, I think they're going to stay in that 7, 8, 9 range. But that bullpen is middling at best after a down year from Bednar, and that lineup does nothing for them. The Reds are pretty solid in their lineup. Rotation leaves a little bit to be desired. So does the bullpen, but they're at least solid, or at least decent anyway. It's going to be close, but I'm leaning Pirates here because of that lineup. I just don't think they have enough offensively. So they finish outside the top 20. Just seeing if we're missing anybody here. You guys tell me, have we missed anything so far? I think we're pretty solid so far. Giants have an okay-ish lineup, a little under the midline of the league anyway. I'd say the rotation is a little bit better. Bullpen leaves a little bit to be desired. Cubs improved their lineup a little bit with Kyle Tucker, but they do not have necessarily the best lineup. Rotation leaves a lot to be desired, so does the bullpen for me. Cubs have with the addition of Presley, are at least borderline top 10, top 15. But all these bullpens in that 10 to 20 range are all about the same to me. Let's see here. I'm leaning Tigers slightly. But I think that rotation is going to keep them up a little bit here. Maybe the Reds could be a fit. Terry Francona, I think, will elevate this group, but I think it'll take time to get there. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Reds at 22. This puts into perspective how many good teams there really are in the league. Yes, it does. That's kind of why I wanted to do this exercise. I don't just want to throw out randomly, oh, well, they're a top 5 team. And I can't stand when people talk like that. Actually know what you have. Like, there are a lot of great players in the league, in all leagues. So when you say somebody's a top 5 player in the league, well, who you leaving out? Who you putting in? Don't just throw that a number around randomly and I think it's a compliment to the player. It might not be even close to true. So, I'd rather, deal in reality than fantasy land. All right, this is where I'm wondering if the Giants really fall off the bus here. Giants are borderline top 10, top 12 rotation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12th best rotation, bottom 20, or in the bottom 20 lineups, bottom 10 lineups anyway. Bottom 6 or 7 bullpens. I think they're a better team with Adames, but I don't think they've elevated themselves quite to the level of the other teams that we see here. So I think I'm going to put the Giants just outside of the top 20. The first team outside at 21. All right. Let's keep this thing rolling here. Cubs, I think that rotation is going to hinder them quite a bit as we go through the year. I think they're not done adding. They say they're all in on 2025. We'll see if they make the additions they need to. I still think they'll need another bat as well. Royals, I'd say, are another team that I think, while I have them pretty low as far as the rotation, the lineup itself, I still think they're among the best in that AL Central. The bullpen I'm actually really high on with the additions that they have back there. They're a top 8 bullpen for me. So they're getting in this range. But Blue Jays, Cardinals. Cardinals are a pretty rough team. And with Nolan Arenado currently still there, I think he elevates that lineup a little bit more than what I'd normally put them at. Helsley's still there. Again, another one that's going to be down pretty soon. But entering the season, I can't drop them much lower than here. I think I'm going to put the Cardinals right here. This might be the highest part they did. Lucas, you didn't do the NHL trade deadline. I know this is the first time I didn't do it for the NHL. I wanted to try to do something a little bit different, and ultimately I just decided to enjoy it with the lady for once and enjoy some Canadian television for the first time in a while. I kind of missed doing that when I was younger anyway. I used to watch the NHL trade deadline, watch all the Canadian shows, the Sportsnets, the TSNs, find websites that would have it for free and watch it that way. It was kind of fun to watch it this way. I might do a recap show of the trade deadline for the NHL, but we're increasing our NHL coverage. Was kind of stenciling out what the next couple of months looks like for us here at the Upside. The different shows that I want to be adding to our repertoire by the end of the month of March, and you're going to see a daily talk or the daily MLB Hot Stove Daily that we normally do. We've been doing a couple of shows every single week dealing with just normal sports talk, talking about all 4 different major sports out there. There'll be a couple other shows anyway dealing with the NFL coming your way. NBA is going to have a show, and the NHL is going to have a 3 times a week show as well. So it's going to be a lot of content. We do have other channels that will be posting all that on as well. But they did get a top 15 guy. Like I said, I don't like tossing around top 10, top 15 without the actual proof. Rantanen is a top 10 scorer in the NHL over the last couple of years and is a proven 100-point-a-game scorer in years past. They look pretty good, though. I haven't seen the game yet today, so I'm excited to see what they're doing in Edmonton. Don't tell me the score. I got it on pause. Don't tell me the score. Hey, don't tell me the score. I'm going to pretend I didn't see it. I'm blocking it out. All right. Let's see here. Let's keep this power rankings going here. 19. Royals are getting in the conversation. Twins are getting in the conversation. Cubs are getting in the conversation. I might be leaning Cubs because of that rotation, but I think I'm going to hold off for now. That lineup for the Mariners is just so rough. Nah, you're good, Rafe. It is still the first. The way the Stars are going, they're just integrating him into the lineup. I'm sure they'll be fine eventually. I mean, they're one of the hottest teams, if not the hottest team in the NHL right now, and I'm excited to see that game. Edmonton really needs to have a good game against a good team. They've been struggling for a while, and they need McDavid to get back to being Connor McDavid. But as far as the rankings here, Blue Jays are one that I'm kind of considering. Guardians are one I'm kind of considering. Royals are one I'm kind of considering. Entering the season, though, I'm leaning. I still think the Royals will be the team that comes out and wins. But I think this is pretty much the spot for the the AL Central clubs. I think I'm going to put the Royals here. Yeah. I'm going to put the Royals there. Stings a little bit, but I think that does sound about right. There's not another perfect fit yet. Blue Jays are in this category. Steven, welcome in. Lakers Celtics in a close one. That could be a finals matchup. 42-19 can't win them all. I'm taking the Cubs over the Tigers because you're eyeballing the Cubs a little too much. I haven't put the Cubs yet, have I? You're right. I missed that one. Thought I'd put the Cubs already. So the Cubs will go here. Tigers are in this range. But the Tigers just have that rotation that I think is going to be good enough. But a bottom 6 offense and a bottom 3 bullpen. I think you saved me there, Ray. Thank you there. So Tigers, then the Royals. I think Twins, Blue Jays are in that next grouping. Twins, Blue Jays, Guardians, I think are the next 3 teams here for me. Maybe the Brewers. Brewers, I think, might be in this mix here. Twins, Guardians, Blue Jays, and Brewers, I think, are the next 4. I loved having the 2019 flashback with Ab. Okay, so you meant the Astros walking off the Yankees. Well, yeah, you got to have your good moments in your franchise history, my friend. All right, so I think I'm going to put the Guardians in this range. I think I'm going to put them up a little bit higher here. But I think I'm going to do... I think I'm going to put the Blue Jays at 16. I think I'm going to put the Twins at 15. Guardians at 14. Maybe. I might change that one. Who was the other team I was just talking about? Brewers. At 13. I already did the Giants. Padres are a solid team. Borderline top 10 in all 3 categories. Diamondbacks are in that range. All right. Let's kind of scroll down here. I want to eliminate the teams I've already done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so those are the 12 teams that I have left to put for these final 12 spots. I think the Mariners stick out as the most obvious team left. You think Twins, Blue Jays, Brewers? Maybe. I just like the Brewers and what they got going into the year. I think that offense is going to be decent. I think you're right, though, about that one. I think the Guardians I might have just a hair low. I think I do have the Guardians just a hair low. I'm going to change this one to Brewers. Oop. I'm going to change this one to Guardians. Primarily because of the bullpen. I think the Mariners, with the injury to Kirby, are pretty solidly at 12 with how terrible that offense is. But I still think that rotation is going to keep them in it for a pretty good time there. I think the Tigers and Mariners are fairly similar. But this 12 to 18 range, I think, are all fairly close to interchangeable. You know, one team will go on a hot streak, they'll bump up. Another team will go on a cold streak, they'll bump down. But the 12 to 18 range sounds about right for all of those teams right there. All right, let's do 11 here. Who's the last team that doesn't make it in the top 10? Yankees are borderline if Garrett Cole is out. Yankees are right there on the border if Garrett Cole is missing significant time this year. But looking at the teams that are left, Guardians come first to mind. Orioles, because of that rotation. Padres, I think, are borderline top 10 all the way across the board. So I think we're getting in about their range. I think their offense is pretty solid. The rotation's decent for now. Their bullpen's okay. I think we're right in that range for the Padres. So I think for me, Steven, no Cole, no playoffs. That's kind of my worry for them as well. You think it's the Padres? I'm leaning that way as well just because of how elite that Guardians bullpen is coming into the year. So for right now, I got to give them credit for that. So I'll go Padres, the last team outside of the top 10. And I'm going to give the extra credit to the Guardians because their bullpen, hold on. Did I not do that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Who'd I forget? Who'd I miss? I feel like I was supposed to put somebody right here. That's what I was saying. I thought I put somebody else at 13. Who was I missing? Red Sox? Did I delete them already? That's why I'm missing them. Thank you, Rafe. I knew I was missing something. Okay. There we go. So, Guardians. Alright. Let me start this over with 13. Delete that out, delete that, delete that, delete that. Guardians, Padres, Mariners. Guardians, Padres, Mariners, Guardians. There we go. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, there we go. Okay, we're back on track now. All right, so we have our top 10 teams. Dodgers, Astros, Phillies, Orioles, Braves, Yankees, Red Sox, Mets, Rangers, and Diamondbacks. Wrote it reverse order. Yeah, it's kind of what I'm just thinking through it again. Brewers, I think, are right at 14. Padres. Let me rethink this group real quick. Padres are pretty solidly right around that 10 mark in all three categories. Guardians are lifted up by that bullpen. The rotation's middle of the road nowadays. Their lineup is bottom half, middle of the road nowadays. That lineup for the Mariners is terrible. Without Kirby, it's even worse. So actually, I think I'm going to take these two and switch them. Because Kirby's going to miss a little bit of time to begin the year. So I think the Padres move up a spot. Let's make sure I got the Guardians in the right spot. They have better starting pitching, a better lineup, and a decent bullpen. The Guardians are worse offensively, have a worse rotation, but a better bullpen. How much credit do they get for a better bullpen? Just kind of thinking out loud. I don't think they get that much credit. Whoop, wrong page. I think you're right. Guardians are going to go 12. Padres go 11. All right. Top 10. Here we go. Red Sox. All right. Now, the teams that I'm kind of thinking of here are going to be like the Yankees because of the injuries. Mets because of injuries in their rotation. Red Sox because it's their first time being in this spot in years. Rangers because of the health concerns. Diamondbacks, I think, are a pretty solid rotation, so I don't think they're in this range yet. But Mets, Red Sox, Yankees, Rangers, and I'm thinking maybe the Orioles are in this bunch here. So if I'm picking out of that group, I'm leaning Red Sox because that rotation still has some injuries at the back half of it. I like the addition of Crochet. I love the addition of Bregman. I think the Diamondbacks rotation is just too good that I can't put them at 10 here. And their lineup, I think, has a little bit more power in it with Naylor. I think their defense is a little worse. And I don't think they're going to have as much of a down year from Corbin Carroll as they did last year. So I'm actually pretty positive on where they're at. The bullpen is a little bit worse than in years past anyway. That Rangers lineup is going to rake. I'm leaning Red Sox here at 10. I think I'm going to do that. I think Red Sox are pretty solid here as the 10th team. So there we go. Red Sox are your 10. Mets with the rotation issues are a concern to begin the year. Yankees because the injuries are a concern. Which team do I put first? Yankees, I think, have a better rotation. Mets have a better lineup. Bullpen entering the season. Yankees are a couple of spots ahead of the Mets for me. So negligible difference, really. It's really close. I'm leaning Mets because the rotation is a little weaker. I think they can outslug their way early in the season, and I think they'll be fine until they get their arms back. Meanwhile, the Yankees, I'm not sure they have enough hitting to be able to overcome some of the pitching stuff that could be a problem for them if Garrett Cole is out. But we don't know. Minter is starting the season, it sounds like, on the injured list for the Mets. So for now, I think I'm going to put the Mets first. But it's neck and neck. I think it's splitting hairs between the two teams. Both teams are injury riddled, and I think once the Yankees get clarity on Garrett Cole, the Yankees could really plummet here quite a bit. You think the Mets are better than the D-backs head-to-head? I think they're better offensively, but I think the D-backs could shut them down pretty quickly with that rotation. You think the Red Sox are better than the Mets? I would agree if they had Giolito and Bayo healthy, but Bayo's going to start the season on the injured list. And I think it's going to take a little bit of time for that group to get right. Remember, Roman Anthony is a piece on this team that I think was going to make an impact for them. And he lost 10 pounds this spring training because of an illness that's been going through that clubhouse. I can't put them a little higher than the Mets, though. I don't think they have the rotation that's necessarily better than the Mets. I think they're fairly equal. And I'd take the Mets lineup over the Red Sox right now. Now, as we get into the season, I think the Red Sox will probably be a little bit better. But for right now, I'd say the Red Sox are pretty solidly there, right at 10. All right. So those two are gone. 7 teams left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Rangers, Diamondbacks, Orioles, and Braves, I think, are the next few teams, along with the Phillies. Phillies really disappointed over the last couple of years in the postseason, but during the regular season, they were just fine. They have a solid rotation. I just have no faith in Jesus Luzardo as an impact piece for them. I'm leaning Diamondbacks here. I think I will put the Diamondbacks here. I can only give them so much credit for that rotation because you can only start so many. Let me widen this column just a little bit. Make sure they're all the same length. There we go. 6. Rangers, Orioles, Braves, and Phillies, I think, are all in this mix. Astros begin to enter the conversation. I think the Astros have weakened their team enough offensively, and the rotation is unsettling. That bullpen is pretty good, though. But I think the rotation is bad enough to where it might drop them down. Rangers have red flags, but everybody so far is healthy, and Degrom looks dominant. You think the Astros for 6? Well, Henderson is out to begin the year for the Orioles. They have no number 1. Kittredge is out for the Orioles as well. Bautista's coming back from injury. No Santander. I think the Orioles and Astros are pretty close here. Braves, hopefully Jerkson Profar doesn't have a significant injury. He made a diving catch today and apparently jammed his wrist. So far, no bones were broken according to the x-ray, but he'll be scheduled for an MRI tomorrow. Hopefully there's no ligament damage. I'm kind of leaning the Astros or Orioles here. Rangers are in this discussion for me as well. Let's see, where did we have the Rangers rotation? Still in the top 10. Their bullpen just outside the top 10. Astros, that rotation, though, I think is enough of a demerit to put them 6. Let's go ahead and put them at 6. Sorry, Willard. I'm trying to give every team their fair shake, so I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing something. Especially since this is the first one. As we go through these power rankings in the future, it'll be a lot easier because we'll know where the teams stand because we'll actually see games being played. All right. Top 5. Dodgers, Phillies, Orioles, Braves, and Rangers. Phillies, Orioles, Braves, and Rangers. I think the Dodgers are easily number 1, but I'll wait to put them number 1 at the very last. Rotation has a lot of young guys at the back for the Braves. And I just dinged the Astros for their rotation. Braves are solid in the bullpen. Solid with the lineup. I think the Braves are in this range here. Orioles, because of the injury to Henderson, lack of a number 1, and the injury to Kittredge, I think they're dropping down here a little bit. Now the Rangers, they're getting Degrom's healthy. Adolis Garcia should be healthy by opening day. Wyatt came back today. He's fine. There's no significant injuries to report at all for the Rangers, which is great for them after all the injury issues they had last year. For health, I'd probably put them above the Orioles. I'm thinking the Orioles finish here at the number 5 spot. I think that's pretty solid. Orioles get 5. Top 4 teams. Braves, Phillies, Rangers. Let's look at the Phillies and Braves for a second. Phillies, their lineup, borderline top 5, top 6. Rotation, definitely in the top 5. Bullpen in the top 5. They're a solid group. I would say they're better than the Rangers. The Phillies and the Braves. Braves have a slightly better lineup in my opinion. Braves have a much worse rotation and a worse bullpen by a little bit. I would say the Phillies are above the Braves. So it becomes the Rangers or Braves for 3 and 4. I think the Phillies right now start the season as number 2. That's higher than I thought I would put them. I did not think I was going to put them that high. Let's look at the Rangers and Braves here. Rangers a better lineup by a little. Rangers a better rotation by a fair amount. Braves a little bit better in the bullpen because of Raisel Iglesias. I'm kind of thinking Braves here for 4. I think the rotation is the biggest worry for me for them. And the Rangers have the better rotation and lineup. I got to put the Rangers above the Braves. So Braves finish 4. I think that's about right. If the Rangers are better in the lineup and they're better in the rotation, the bullpen difference with the difference in Raisel Iglesias versus whoever the Rangers put as closer, I don't think is as significant as, say, the difference between Emmanuel Clase and Raisel Iglesias, for instance. But as far as the Phillies, I think the lineup is fairly close. I think the rotation, there's far less red flags in that rotation. To me, there's a clear tier in that rotation group. When healthy, the Mariners were in that top 5. Yankees were in that top 5. And then it's a real drop-off from 6 to 10. 6 to 11, really. So tier 1 is 1 through 5. Tier 2 would be 6 through 11. I think Philadelphia's bullpen is better overall. Again, more proven options to go with. I mean, you have all-star setup guys there last year. I think I'm putting the Rangers at 3 to begin the season. And I think that means the Phillies are easy too. And that means you know your number one is the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm just surprised to have the Phillies so high. I was not expecting that. I'm down on the Phillies for the year, honestly. But entering the season, even with as little as they did, I still like their lineup. I still like their rotation. I think their bullpen's still okay. I just wonder if they can get past their own issues in the postseason more than anything else. I think this is a pretty good list. So we'll do one each week as we go across the page and kind of keep going that way. And to just keep adding and adding and adding. But so far, you can kind of see how teams kind of move up and move down in this group here. Your top 5, Dodgers, Phillies, Rangers, Braves, and Orioles. 6 to 10, Astros, D-backs, Yankees, Mets, and Red Sox. 11 to 15, Padres, Guardians, Mariners, Brewers, and Twins. 16 to 20, Blue Jays, Royals, Tigers, Cubs, and Cards. 21 to 25, Giants, Reds, Pirates, A's, and Rays. And then 26 through 30, Nats, Angels, Marlins, Rockies, and White Sox. I think we definitely got that group of teams right there. Ray, if you think the Braves over the Rangers, just because I know how the Rangers do things, I'm worried about the injuries too, but I still worry about the back end of that rotation for the Braves. I mean, even with the red flags the Rangers have, they have more answers to those red flags than the Braves have answers, period, is the reason why I have them over them. And then, again, looking at my rankings, if I'm believing that the Rangers have a better lineup, if I'm believing that the Rangers have a better rotation, am I to believe because Chris Martin would enter the season as the closer versus Raisel Iglesias is the reason why the Braves would be a little bit above? I would lean not. I mean, I got to weight them a little bit differently. Lineup and rotation matter to me a little bit more than the bullpen does. Not that it's not important, it's just that if you don't have a rotation, it's really tough for you to really go up in these rankings. Especially to start the year. It just doesn't sit right how high the Astros are. They're not that good. Well, I mean, let's look at where they sit. They're not as good as they used to be. They used to be consistently in that top 3. But let's look at where they rank. If you think they're too high, let's look at the teams behind them. Do I like the Diamondbacks rotation better? I do. Do I like the Astros lineup better? I do. I think. Let me see where I put them. Yeah, I do. I got them above the Diamondbacks. Bullpen, I definitely like the Astros better than the Diamondbacks. And the difference in the rotation, Diamondbacks are at 3. Astros are, 15-ish? That's a pretty steep drop for that rotation, which is why they're so close to me. But again, the injuries are why the Yankees are not higher. Injuries are why the Mets are not higher. You don't think the Astros are top 10, so you think they're worse than the Red Sox, Mets, Yankees, Diamondbacks? I'd say they're better than the Yankees based off of what they have to work with. They at least have their ace to start the year. You still have Yordan Alvarez. Jose Altuve has a bat. I love the addition of Christian Walker. And they have a top 3 bullpen in the game. That's where I think I differ on you, Lucas. I still think the Astros win a wild card this year. Are they as good as years past? No. But I still think the American League is fairly wide open. A little bit surprised we don't have at least one team sneaking in from the AL Central in there. Thought maybe a team like the Guardians could get up there. But they just couldn't quite get there. You think they're worse than the Padres? I like the Padres' offense better than most, but do I like it better than the Astros with Yordan Alvarez? I think Yordan is better than any hitter the Padres have, but the Padres do have quite a few players that I'd put in that 2 through 4 range. Tatis, Machado, Merrill. Padres are a good club. But I think to begin the year, this is a pretty solid ranking. We'll revisit this as we get to opening day with the injury issues and so forth. We'll do this again every week. I'm leaning towards Wednesday will be our power ranking day. We'll probably do a short 30-minute live about that one. This one lasted about an hour, but we wanted to give each team their due on our inaugural, power rankings episode. All right, I appreciate you guys joining us. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll be live a couple of times tomorrow. I'm leaning towards doing a couple of different lives, kind of introducing a couple of different things. We'll have to see about that one. I'm going to make some videos for you guys tomorrow as well. Throughout that way we can play them throughout the week. Some interesting topics I think you guys would like to or to at least catch up on. But be sure to follow us on X at Upside Ascend and on Facebook Upside Sports Network. We'll begin posting on a couple of our other channels as well. I haven't posted on those in a significantly long period of time, and we'll be posting on those as well. So make sure you follow us on the socials. That way, when we do, I'll post it there as well. That way you guys can find our other channels as well as we try to build up our brand here at the Upside Sports Network. All right, appreciate you guys joining us. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe. We'll be back live tomorrow, and we'll see, how things go during the regular season. Lucas, don't know why there's so much buzz about how much better the NL is than the AL. They have the same number of teams in the top 10. It's primarily because of how good the Dodgers, teams like the Phillies and Braves are. I mean, to me, the best American League team is a team that didn't make the postseason last year, especially after the injuries now to the Yankees. Pardon me. It tells you where the state of the American League is. But I get your overall point that, when you look at the numbers, it does kind of show you things are a lot more even than we might have realized. All right. Y'all have a great one out there. We'll see you guys tomorrow afternoon. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe. And stay safe out there, everybody.